This week's scenario is the Pit from the Steamroller 2016 packet. This scenario does have the Killbox Artifice in effect and consists of a 12-inch zone which can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 2 CPs. The friendly flag can be dominated for 1 CP, and the enemy flag can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 2 CPs. Victory conditions consist of 5 control points or caster assassination.
Alright, this is Warmachinist, and it's my pleasure to bring you Horgle the Anvil, making his channel debut, I believe. I wanted to run him with the Glacier King and Fighters. There's a lot of real good synergy there, especially that Horgle can chain attack his own Glacier King and set those guys on fire. Unit of Warders keep everybody alive with Inviolable Resolve and Dhunian not.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston, and today we're playing with Dawnlord Vyros. He is much improved over his Mark II edition with the changes to Hellid Avenger, the new feat. So what we're doing here is we're running a mixed arms force. We have a large battle group to take advantage of all of his battle group abilities, and a unit in order to take advantage of the feat.
Alright, so as you look over the board here and you see this lovely obstruction in the middle of the board and a couple forests flanking each part of the zone and a big old house on my side, I just kind of said, okay, what can I do for this particular scenario? I said I'm going to run the warders in front. I'm going to try to set the bomber up to kind of hold up a flank and try to get the Glacier King in the zone and camp Horgle on the flag and try to win this on scenario, or at least get out to at least a point where I'm pressuring Gaston. We've actually played this match. This is the 3rd time playing these two guys against each other, and I've learned some real valuable lessons insofar as how hard Gaston's infantry can hit. Also a bit about, I think he's just spent an entire game wrecking me with Discordia one game. So, you know, we'll see if I've learned anything. Here we go.
So ironically, this is the 3rd time Warmachinist and I have actually played this matchup. And I think it does favor Retribution a little bit in the sense that I'm able to put my Armor Cracker into Trolls, and Trolls are, typically a very tanky faction. Deployment-wise, I'm keeping my Sentinels kind of in the middle, and then I have my Jacks on either flank. I want Discordia kind of more central for her bubble, and then Imperatus to be able to kind of go, since he's the fastest one with the reach, to kind of hard flank. The idea will be that as my Jacks move forward, I'll have my infantry behind them in order to kind of shut down the Glacier King's push gun, and then we're going to try to knock out those Fire Eaters ASAP, because they'll do horrible things to me.
Still, what I consider the best unit in Trolls are Fire Eaters, and they make an excellent advanced deploy. I've struggled a little bit with them against this list because it just seems to give those guys vengeance on his side is not a good plan. So I've got a little something in store for Gaston he might not be quite ready for in this game. So we're gonna kind of deploy, try to use that force a little bit to our advantage, and do some flanking. Alright, let's go right into Trollbloods turn 1. So again, I feel my way to really get ahead in this game is to get on that flag and keep the Glacier King in between Horgle and his army. And with that plan in mind, I'm having these fighters sort of flank. Gaston's army is really bricky. He wants to keep everybody near Discordia for their armor buff. So, you know, it's not my favorite turning setup. It 100% advantage to Retribution Vyros, who I guess is a remnant of Legion MK2 apparently. So, like, you know, you're playing one game and he's playing a completely different game. However, what we do here right now is we have the Warders with a line in front of the Glacier King and the Fighters in front of them. This is going to kind of keep everybody in a kind of concealment bubble. I should be able to move my Warders out from that position and then set the Fighters on fire if I choose to. So right now what I want to do is get Inviolable Resolve up on the Warders, make them chew through those before I switch Inviolable Resolve onto the Glacier King. The house is going to be kind of where I camp the Krielstone, and hopefully the bomber is kind of sneaky threatening right there. He can come out to the right and take on anything that Gaston tries to, if he tries to send his casters to the flag. So I mean, I'm not upset with my opening, and I think it's going to make Gaston have to kind of react a little bit. My suspicion is that what I'm going to find is that he's not going to make a play for a scenario because I put that bomber over there. That's basically what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking the bomber from where he is can either go right or left to that forest and be impactful. So I get the Dhunian knot up to fix some rolls, and we'll see what goes.
For as straightforward as Vyros is to play, for some reason I do have trouble getting him to kind of click for me. And I don't know if that's just a Gaston problem or if it's a common problem with him. But there are kind of two different ways you can build his list, and this is one of the ways where you take a bunch of heavies and then you use the infantry and the feet to kind of push them further. And then you have the other version of the list where you use the feet on griffins kind of as your lead-in, and then you follow up with the heavies in the following turns. So I don't have the griffins painted, so I'm kind of curious to try that out. But he's flanking with the Fire Eaters, which is mega annoying. And the other thing that's a little bit annoying about Vyros is that he doesn't have the ability to cast all of his upkeeps and mobility on turn 1. So you have to choose. For my purposes here, because there's Fire Eaters, because he got to go first, he got to put the Fire Eaters where he wanted to, which is very annoying, nobody likes that. I'm going to go ahead and put up mobility, and then I'm going to go ahead and put Invulnerable Resolve on the Sentinels in order to bump their armor up. And we're just going to kind of save Hallowed Avenger for another turn, and my hope is that he's just not going to kill Sentinels this turn, and I don't have to worry about it getting triggered. In order to deal with the Fire Eaters up there, we're going to move Imperatus up. He's going to take a fully boosted shot. Unfortunately, it is fire type damage, so they do get a little armor bonus to that, and that means that I actually leave the guy shoot on 1 health, just kind of thanks to dice. But otherwise, the other reason why I really wanted to cast mobility was so I could get the Manticores up further, and then start putting covering fire templates down in ways that'll actually hurt the Fire Eaters, restrict the way that they move. They don't want to take that POW 12. And I don't want to give them the option. So we're going to put this template as far up as possible. That'll make it very difficult for them to assault. Now that's my hope anyway, and restrict their movement. So we're just trying to do that so that there's nowhere where they can go and assault where they won't take that POW 12, they won't risk getting killed there. And we're going to do the exact same thing with the other Manticore. He's going to move on up his 8 inches thanks to mobility, and drop that template down there as well. Fire Eaters, I don't know what it is about them, they tilt me. I hate them so much. So when it comes to approaching his list, what he's doing is he's leading with the Fire Eaters first to kind of clear out my infantry and to trigger the feet. But also he's leading with the Warders, which is mega annoying because I have to be able to put 2 jacks into the Glacier King even with my feet in order to be able to guarantee it's dead. And those Warders are just kind of gum up the charge lanes even more than this stupid obstruction is. So they're a very high priority for me to take care of, and they're something that I really need to figure out to crack. The other thing I'm doing is I'm kind of trying to be patient and letting him choose which side of the obstruction he's going with the Glacier King, so that way I can know which way to focus my resources. I do have the advantage of, Bird's Eye letting me ignore the forests, mobility letting me ignore the forests, and then now we're going to have Discordia come up. She's going to put up Kinetic Field. It turns out that ability's called, I learned. And then you're going to have the Sentinels. They're going to run up base to base. They're going to have Impervious, Invulnerable Resolve on them. And then they're going to have the extra armor buffs, so they'll be a pretty hard nut to crack there. One thing I'm being very careful with is leaving room for the Lys Healer. She's eventually going to move up here, and she's going to do a little no knockdown bubble. So that way the Jax can't get knocked down if I believe it's a crit hit with the Glacier King. I don't have a lot of focus to go around, so I don't want to waste it. So but what I'm doing is I'm making sure that she has the ability to move around my models forward if sometime I need to go and get rid of the Glacier King's Animus.
Alright, so Trollbloods turn 2. So while I do like where the bomber is placed in my initial setup, that house was just a pain in the butt due to the fact that you want to get Firestarter up on the bomber. All his guys are immune to blast damage, but if you set them on fire, then that's actually not a bad thing. Doesn't trigger vengeance. So covering fires are a pain in the butt. When you have this much terrain on the board and you got a huge old obstacle and forest on either side, it definitely clutters up my order of activations, which one would assume is Gaston's plan, which is a good plan. I am happy with this Fire Eater flank motion going on the top of the board here. It's one of the big strengths of Gaston's list is the Arcanists and Sylys and all the stuff that they're doing in the background. And being able to threaten those really makes him have to think about what is he going to do with his brick. Like I said, we've played this matchup a few times, and he's learned a couple lessons. For example, he's thrown infantry models in behind most all of his warjacks because he knows that the Glacier King will be pushing them back out of their threat ranges. So props to him on that adaptation. Some of the ways I've lost in the past was using my Fire Eaters and catching just like one or two of his infantry, giving them vengeance, and then watching them take down the Glacier King. So I'm really cognizant of the fact that that infantry hits super hard, and I don't want to get them onto my Glacier King. This is the reason why the Warders are in front of the Glacier King. They're going to get they have inviolable resolve, and once they're chewed up, then I'll switch that onto the Glacier King. So I mean, there's things I like about this, but the puzzle right now is, I have finite space. My army does not deal well with this particular setup, and at this point, I'm trying to figure out. I know that my best way to win is to camp the flag and win on scenario, make him come to me. And I am correct in the fact that he was not able to take his caster anywhere near his own flag. So, immediately I've kind of, with that bomber, taken scenario a little bit out of play for Gaston. So, the goal here is let's get some pressure, check all of his threat ranges, make sure I stay out of the ridiculous infantry. I don't plan on killing any of them this go. So, that's one of the nice things though about pre-measuring is, we get to play this little cat and mouse game. And it's really, I think, added a lot to the game. I think that the game becomes a lot less, gee, I think I'm in, I think I'm out, and it's more of a, let's actually play the game. And now eventually you're going to have to come to grips, right? The key is, can I make him come to me in this situation? That's what I want. I want his army coming to me. He threats pretty strong, so the idea is, take it on the chin with the warders and cripple his ability to hurt the Glacier King from there. So what I've decided to do is continue to threaten that flag. I don't want to use the bomber to do it. The bomber needs to get into more of the middle, so therefore the Fire Eater is going to come to the side. Continue to take scenario out of play. I've again learned that throwing the Fire Eaters down the middle at him does not necessarily help me out too much. Plus they didn't have good threat ranges after you put down the well, first of all, the big obstacle in the middle, but then he also put down the covering fire templates. So both those things together kind of dictated to me where those guys were going to go. All right, so Glacier King has come up, and we're peppering the one jack that he doesn't have anyway to not get it pushed back. Try to get some damage in. I kind of want him to come after the Glacier King at this point. I don't think he can get on enough to kill it. Kind of use that object in the middle of the board to my own advantage. So I feel good. I was able to do some serious damage to that warjack. I was able to push it back. I'm not worried about its threat right now. So it's that part of the plan has been successful. At this point, again, the warders, they should probably be a little more further up, so that what does happen is if he's going to engage me or whatever, it's much further up on the circle. But again, I'm trying to get him to come to me, so to speak. And I know that he can get Imperatus to the Glacier King, but Imperatus is not going to solo the Glacier King, especially with the Glacier King Animus up and his ability to not flank. He did add a model to his list, which is probably a really good pick. It's the one that removes fire and upkeeps, I guess. So, this plan was really good in the game previously, not as good now. However, I think that at least makes him have some order of activation issues. It looks like he's got that model trapped in behind. So here's where the bomber's going to come up. Really wish that I had the chance to get Firestarter up on him, because I think that at this point that bomber with Firestarter could create some serious problems for Gaston. So at this point we're going to because you can remove the fire, but not until the fire has actually done its thing. So at this point what we're going to try to do is take some chunk out of Discordia. I can't tell you how much I despise Discordia. It brain damaged Horgle 3 times in a row in a previous game where we played. So again, the things that I've lost to so far was the infantry destroying the Gargantuan and Discordia brain damaging Horgle for the entire match while the rest of his army did work. So those are the kind of the things I'm trying to play around a bit in this game. I don't love this matchup. It's not the ideal drop I would throw into Vyros 1 if I was doing a tournament pairing. For example, I just played this in a tournament this last weekend at Baltimore. I got 4th place. And I ran it with Ragnar. And Ragnar would be definitely the list I would drop into Vyros. Vyros 1 at least. Or even a Retribution in general. However, Horgle is really cool looking. And he's a bit of a badass. And I wanted to get him on the channel. So, you know, you make your changes where you make them. Alright, so all in all, I feel pretty good about the turn. I've put a lot of damage into 2 jacks with no real ability for him to retaliate. The Bomber's in a good position. The Glacier King's in a good position. So, you know, why not put Horgle on the flag, right? Because he can't really get to him, of course, right? That's the idea here. So, you know, Harmonious Exaltation, get Horgle on the flag, really ramp up the pressure. He basically can't hurt the Bomber. He can't kill the Glacier King. And I got Scenario Presence about to really kick in. So the only thing I feel like he can do is run up a infantry to contest or give away a jack. So that's the thought process going through my mind in here. Again, sometimes you gotta remember it's Legion has not left the building, and not only has Legion not left the building, but they gave it frickin' Malakarn. Bye bye.
So him rolling the trip 6s to damage that poor Manticore kind of tilted me a little bit, and in reality it wasn't that big a deal. But it's just like, oh my god, I took this huge hit, you know, really early on. I don't like that at all. But he did make a boo-boo, which we're measuring here, which is he did not leave Horgle in range of a charge from Imperatus, but he did leave him in range of a charge and a sidestep. So, you know, we're on camera, so you have to go for it. That's just kind of a mandate. But if you're watching this, if you're a viewer and I catch you doing this, I will slap you on the wrist. That is a no-no, because this is mathematically a not good plan. The other thing it's going to do is this is all in. There is no, the way you got to move the models, the way you got to position things, there's no coming back from this. And the other thing is he didn't trigger any Vengeance on the Sentinels, so I don't have that extra 3-inch move to kind of get a guy into Horgle at all in order to trigger the flank and to get Imperatus up to Mat 9 and Weapon Master. So I'm swinging on this guy. I need 7s to hit. That's going to be pretty ugly too. So if I were to not be setting up to go assassinate a Horgle, what I'd be doing instead is working very hard on 1, containing those Fire Eaters on both flanks, and 2, killing some Warders. And you'd have Imperatus go up to the building. He would crush one of the Fire Eaters, hopefully, and then sidestep behind the force to be safe from the Glacier King, but still able to see through it, still able to threaten that entire side. You have Discordia, who can spray a bunch of Warders. You've got the Manticores, who can either lay down a covering fire, or they can start shooting up the Fire Eaters. And then certainly on the ones on the top flank there, you want to have a couple Sentinels go and take care of those guys. But like I said, we're just going to be going for it here. So the keys to this is that you want to be able to put as many attacks into Horgle as possible, and so you're going to have the advantage of the bond on Imperatus giving you a free charge, which is very good. You're going to need mobility, so Vyros is keeping 3. So I have my little mechanic coming up. He's going to put an extra focus on the Manticore. Then we've got the other 2 mechanics there. They're going to fill up Imperatus and concentrate to power him. What I'm doing right now is I'm measuring the range of Discordia's spray, and Discordia's going to come on up and she's going to spray Horgle, because even though he's got the shield guards there, he can't shield guard the sprays, so that's really nice. And she's going to go ahead and hit. She does, like, 5 damage, something like that. Not too bad. But it also has the thing where it moves her out of my way, which is very nice, because now I can get that Lys Healer up there and get rid of the Animus on the Glacier King. And that's important for my feat, because if my Sentinels end their movement or their activation near the Glacier King after running, then they automatically get knocked down. They don't trigger flank, which is a problem. Now, I cannot get flank on Horgle, but I can get flank on my sidestep target. And so that's why we're going to be moving up, we're going to be popping the feet, because I want to make it as mathematically guaranteed as I can, get the probabilities as much in my favor if we're going to go through and do this. So we've got the Lys Healer coming up. She's just going to move up her 6 inches. I think she's got an 8-inch range on removing animi, so that's going to be pretty nice. And she can actually fit through that little crack. We'll check that in a second. The other thing I'm looking at doing is, can I get rid of that stone? It'd be really nice to drop his armor a couple points. In past matchups where we've done this, I've been able to do that. That was me using a proxy base because that was the only small base I had. So, good thing he already activated. So it'd be really nice to be able to get rid of that stone there. I've got the Manticore, I've got Bird's Eye, so I ignore intervening models when determining line of sight. So that's pretty useful for me there. Now we got the Sentinels, they're going to run on up and jam. Again, because I'm not going to try to kill the warders now, I'm just jamming with them. I'm just sending a few guys in, the key guy up at the top, and then a couple guys at the bottom, in order to hold the line. The other thing you want to be very careful with is to not block your own movement, so that way Vyros can get up there, he can feet. So that way the mechanics can get to where they need to do, concentrated power and empower, and move over 2 abilities. So now we're just double checking threat ranges, so that way, because I did actually boxcar's damage to one of the warders with Discordia, and I just kind of accidentally killed it, so good job, Gaston. But worst comes to worst, I can always actually sidestep off of the Glacier King as well, and kind of worked out that math. So Vyros comes up, he popped feet. We got the Manticore coming up, he's just gonna, he rolled 3 shots, he's just gonna start pumping him into the stone. Unfortunately, the stone does have concealment, so it's a little bit hard for me to hit. So we're just going to start boosting those shots. The other thing that's a little bit unfortunate is he has enough shield guards around there where I'm just bouncing off the shield guards, but it was worth a shot, to put it in there, try to get his armor down. Even without the shield guards, I'd still need to go through a couple tough chucks and a couple trolls. So the odds were not fantastic. Then we have the other Manticore coming up. I was really hoping to, this is kind of the bane of rolling for random number of shots. I was really hoping to roll more than 1 shot to put multiple shots into Ragnar, but unfortunately I only rolled 1, so he shield guarded the 1. And, you boost it for fun and games, but, what can you do? Really needed a second one to, again, put enough attacks into Ragnar to make it mathematically good. As it is right now, it's pretty ugly, because I'll charge for free, so I have to use my initial to hit the warder, sidestep over to Ragnar, so I'll get 4 swings on him. And I need 7s to hit, and he is tough, and he is not knocked down when he's tough, so he's going to always have a tough check, always be able to roll tough. So that's difficult for me, because mathematically I should be missing 1 of those swings, so now I'm down to 3. And then if, I don't kill him with swings to spare, and he starts toughing, then you see it gets very dicey, it gets very edgy, and this is why this is not a great plan. But we are committed, so we're just going to reach deep into my luck sack and hope for the best. So he is able to successfully hit the warder, and then he bounces and sidesteps over onto Ragnar. He misses his first attack. He hits with both the next attacks, so this is his final attack here. He manages to kill him, and there's no tough. So luck wins. Thank you all for watching.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Warmachinist return to the channel after a year. Showing of Horgle 2. Very disappointed in myself. I feel like I played my turn really well up until the point where I stuck Horgle, where I stuck him. Basically, I can only say I had a mental collapse that forgot the fact that the woods did not matter. I knew that Imperatus could see the Glacier King. I did not know Imperatus could go right to Horgle almost. So yeah, lesson learned number 3. I found a new way to learn. I forgot that I did not actually realize how Malak Karn Imperatus can be. So Troll fans, apologies. I did not represent as well as I think I could have with this list. It is a fun list to play. I encourage you to get out and try it. Just remember that probably the biggest weakness in this entire list is Horgle. He is a buff bot caster. He wants to hang out in the back. He wants to get in range for his feet. But he doesn't really want to do a whole lot of work himself, and he really kind of plays like a Menoth caster in that, he hangs not so much in the fire aspect, although that is kind of themey, right? It's just the fact that he hangs in the back and that he really wants to stay out of harm's way and let his army do the work for him. So, again, apologies, guys. I realize that you'd have probably liked to see that game go a couple more turns. I know I would have. I think I had learned lessons from this, and we'll carry it forward in future games. And bear with me, and we'll get some more Trollbloods on the channel here soon. Bye-bye.